Brad Pitt's ultimate pain, the tragedy of a father-child bond. If the collapse of a marriage is like a deep cut, then losing the bond with one's children is a wound that never fully heals. For Brad Pitt, after Angelina Jolie filed for divorce in September 2016, the greatest tragedy was not just the end of nearly a decade-long partnership with his wife, but the ever-widening rift between himself and his children. For years, instead of being the kind of father who could simply take his kids to school or sit down with them for dinner, Pitt had to get used to the cold legal arrangement of visitation rights, a clinical schedule that replaced the warmth of daily family life. The pain only deepened as the children grew up amid a climate of conflict between their parents. Court documents, lawsuits, and accusations traded back and forth turned them into reluctant witnesses. To the public, it was an endless drama. To Pitt, it was a string of painful moments, each silence when his children saw him, each look that no longer carried the innocence of before. Reports even suggested that some of the children sided with Jolie, with at least one allegedly choosing to drop the Pitt surname. While such claims have never been fully confirmed, they point to a harsh reality. The emotional distance between Pitt and his children has stretched to a point that seems almost impossible to mend. Once hailed as, quote, Hollywood's model father, Pitt now faces the bitter irony of being questioned about his very bond with his children. The cruel twist lies in the fact that during those years, Pitt repeatedly admitted his mistakes in public, from struggles with alcohol to fits of anger. He sought therapy, joined support groups, and made a genuine effort to be a better father. Yet all his attempts seemed to vanish into a heavy silence from his children, a silence far more painful than any words of reproach could ever be. With Jolie granted primary custody, Pitt lost the chance to guide, share, and witness his children's growth on a daily basis. He missed out on the irreplaceable years of their childhood, not because he didn't want to be there, but because fate and the wreckage of his marriage forced him to remain on the sidelines. This is what can only be called the ultimate pain. A father still alive, still full of love, but reduced to a bystander in his own family. Brad Pitt's relationship with his children was not always strained. In fact, the paparazzi once captured countless happy moments between the actor and his kids. Pax Thien, the Vietnamese-born adopted son who would later publicly condemn Pitt as a terrible and despicable father, was once seen nestled lovingly in his father's arms as a child. Shiloh, who only recently was legally allowed to drop her father's surname, had once been photographed receiving Pitt's tender, adoring gaze. Maddox, the eldest son who would go on to testify against his father in court, also shared an inseparable bond with him in earlier years. At one point, Pitt even spoke joyfully about parenting, about how raising boys was different from raising girls, and how he was learning something new every day. In 2014, Pitt confided to Psychology's magazine, "I care about my children more than I care about myself, and I think that's the real definition of love. I felt like the richest man alive ever since becoming a father. Fatherhood has changed me in so many ways. It has made me more generous, more alive. I see my children as an essential part of my life. I love being a father, and all the responsibilities that come with it." According to sources close to the couple, however, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie often clashed over parenting styles. Pitt, who grew up in a strict household, wanted to instill more structure and rules, while Jolie leaned toward raising the children to be independent and responsible for their own schedules from a young age. Still, both reportedly shared a common vision, that their children should grow through life experiences rather than being confined to traditional schooling. In the early stages of their divorce, Pitt's relationship with his children had not yet reached the breaking point it is today. Reports suggested that Shiloh continued to love and support her father. Even Maddox, while testifying in court, admitted that he did not entirely hate Pitt. He said he was simply telling the truth and was glad that his father was seeking help and sobriety. But in time, a series of declarations and actions from the children would devastate Pitt and shock the world. From Pax publicly insulting him on social media, to Maddox allegedly ignoring his father's birthday gifts, to 3 of his daughters, both biological and adopted, choosing to drop his surname. How did the relationship between Pitt and his children collapse so completely? Many reasons have been suggested. Jolie once claimed that Pitt struggled with alcohol addiction, and that during a heated altercation on a plane, he, quote, choked one child and struck another. This was likely the first major fracture. Later, reports emerged of Jolie's influence deepening the rift. In 2018, according to insiders, she told Pax during his rebellious teenage years that Pitt had never wanted to adopt him. Jolie was also said to have told Pax that Pitt was furious when she pushed forward with the adoption process. In truth, according to the same source, Pitt's hesitation at the time stemmed not from rejection, but from worry. Adopting a 3-year-old Vietnamese boy who didn't speak English seemed daunting when their biological daughter Shiloh was still under a year old. In May 2024, a former bodyguard of the Jolie-Pitt household claimed that Jolie had encouraged the children not to see their father, allegedly using non-disclosure agreements to control household staff. Meanwhile, Pitt's relationship with his older children has suffered from limited communication, and his ability to spend time with the younger ones has been constrained by his filming schedule. Whatever the reasons, one truth remains undeniable. At this moment, Brad Pitt is the one suffering most. A father caught in a tragic situation, rejected by the very children he loves, both biological and adopted. There is no deeper pain than being attacked, both directly and indirectly, by your own children. Yet, those close to him say that the actor, born in 1963, has not lost all hope. He continues to keep the door open, ready to welcome his children back with open arms if they ever choose reconciliation in the future. Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, from a golden couple to a cautionary tale of divorce. In the public's memory, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt were once regarded as Hollywood's golden family. 6 children, a multicultural household, humanitarian missions, and red carpet appearances together. All of it made the world believe they had found a perfect love. But when that love collapsed, what remained was not an amicable separation, but a nearly decade-long battle filled with tension and disputes. The greatest tragedy was not about money or fame, but the fact that their children, who should have been shielded, became the living witnesses of that collapse. Unlike many other Hollywood couples who chose silence, discreet negotiations, and a united focus on stability for their children, Jolie and Pitt pulled the entire family into the whirlwind of media attention. Public court filings, accusations of violence, alcoholism, and irresponsibility repeatedly made their way onto the headlines. Each time a new detail was leaked, fans were not only gossiping about the 2 stars, but also worrying about the 6 children growing up in the middle of such conflict. The psychological toll on the children is undeniable. Maddox, the eldest son, has often been reported as estranged from Pitt. Pax, the adopted son from Vietnam, has also been rumored to keep his distance from his father. Stories of some children openly criticizing Pitt or avoiding him at family events shocked and saddened the public. Because behind those gestures lies not just rebellion, but signs of deeper psychological wounds, children being forced to choose sides within their own family. The public may criticize Jolie for her uncompromising decisions, or blame Pitt for past mistakes, but one truth remains clear. Both of them, whether intentionally or not, have left lasting scars on their 6 children. Children need stability and unconditional love from both parents. Yet in this divorce, love was overshadowed by anger, defensiveness, and even retribution. Instead of placing their children's well-being above all else, the once admired couple allowed their kids' formative years to become intertwined with their own battle. And that is why many observers can only sigh with regret. A beautiful love story has ended, but what is more painful is how it ended. Jolie and Pitt, despite still being powerful stars, have lost something vital in the eyes of many, the civility that should exist when a marriage ends, especially when innocent children are caught in between.